Hey, I'm Waylon from the Zombie Star, and let's see what we've been reading this week in comics. Let's start off with James Tynion's Nice House on the Lake from DC Black Label. For a lot of reasons, this is just a lot of fun to read. A very intense, character-driven drama that's really heavy on mystery and suspense. This week, we caught up with issues number 7 and issue number 8, and are just still really blown away with the complexity of this story, kind of the depth of it, and even the just constant twist after twist in this crazy James Tynion story. Coming from things like Department of Truth, it is really no surprise, and it's just a really another great story, just really spun by the writer James Tynion. As with any James Tynion kind of story, it can be kind of a slow-paced kind of narrative, as it really takes time to build character, build setting, build a very complex plot, and really allows for some really surprising turn of events and plot twists that reader could not have predicted. Nice House on the Lake consists way too many characters to talk about individually, and its plot is so bizarre it can be so easily spoiled, but for mystery fans, for suspense fans, for science fiction fans, Nice House on the Lake is really a lot of fun to read. Nice House on the Lake is another James Tynion title that uses what I've called before deliberate distortion in its art to really just add to the dread and kind of the mystery and the suspense of the events that are unfolding in each issue. And while the artwork is really brilliant, capturing all these elements and even horror elements in this story, it also captures the environment and the setting beautifully. The house that they are currently in, that they find themselves in, is a very extravagant house, and of course the natural setting that these characters find themselves in. The lake, the forest, is also just beautifully rendered on these panels. This is issue number 8, and I just love these kind of awkward covers. Really just gives you a sense that there is something not right in this story. For a lot of reasons, Nice House on the Lake is just a lot of fun to read. Little Monsters from Image Comics. Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen, or Nguyen, sorry I cannot pronounce that last name, are back together from Image Comics for Little Monsters. The last time that these two were together was for Ascender Descender, also from Image Comics, and I really love what these guys do when they work together. Little Monsters is the newest Jeff Lemire title that I'm aware of from Image Comics, and I'm already loving this a lot. Really difficult to really put my finger on it, but definitely horror, definitely drama in the post-apocalyptic setting. As with other titles by Jeff Lemire, like Ascender, Descender, Sweet Tooth, and even things like Family Tree, Lemire's really good at building these really expansive, dramatic worlds, but really investing the narrative in children. And I think Little Monsters really just expands on this concept, which really allows for reader to become easily invested, emotionally invested in these main characters, as the story very quickly starts to kind of mix the concepts of like survival at the expense of innocence. And in the first 3 issues, as we're catching up with weekly releases, this story is very quick to build this very depraved world, but also put these characters, these children, in some pretty severe moral conundrums. Dustin being the artist here, again, things like Ascender and Descender, really is great at depicting beautiful art to bring Lemire's world to life. One thing that is unique about Little Monsters that Dustin does here is, with the exception of blood, there is no color to this comic book, which I felt was very appropriate to really give that sense of isolation and kind of that sense of being depraved and being without for the children of this comic book. And along with everything else, this is just a really traumatic and dramatic telling of a post-apocalyptic setting for the most vulnerable of society, which is our children. This is Little Monsters. This is issue number 3. Absolutely gorgeous cover. Artwork is very similar, but then we're going backwards now. This is issue number 2. Catching up with weekly releases. We're just reading just issue after issue as I get them, and of course, beautiful cover for issue number 1 of Little Monsters. Alright. This week we also caught up with Radiant Black, which probably is my favorite, more traditional superhero style kind of story that is not published by Marvel or DC. Heavily influenced by the Power Rangers, Radiant Black is a really fun action-adventure story that has quite a few cast of characters that are given supernatural abilities through a cosmic incident that has to do with black holes. Since issue number 1, Radiant Black has been really good to really expand on the universe and build a very vibrant world of some really great superheroes, and just like any superhero kind of story, build some really cool villains. While the story does have a focused main character, I really love how it jumps from issue to issue and kind of can jump from character to character and really focus how each character struggles with that double life of being a superhero and a normal person, trying to live just life in society, very similar to what you would get from kind of a Peter Parker Spider-Man kind of story. Even though the narrative might utilize familiar tropes within the superhero genre, it tells a very unique story for its characters, and it really is a narrative of its own. I feel Radiant Black's visuals are really what's pushing this story forward, where the artists really offer some very vibrant and electric and really beautiful depictions of not just the characters and the settings, but these action sequences are just fueled by just ultra colorful, vibrant depictions and illustrations. Aside from its engaging plot, interesting characters, this is a visual experience that I would love to see translated into an animation or in possibly some kind of live action form. We are actually caught up. This is issue number 12, and this is just kind of, again, a example of what kind of the inside of the book looks like. Check out issue number 13. Just love that cover. But check this out. This is a kind of tribute to a classic Wolverine cover. Radiant Black is one of those titles that's also like just so self-aware that it's a comic book, and it's just so much a comic book. This is that Wolverine cover where his blades are reflecting the Hulk, and it kind of wanted to kind of pay tribute to that. But yeah, that is absolutely gorgeous. All right, Radiant Black. And that's going to do it for this week in comics. Please join us next time for when we talk about whatever it is that we've been reading for the week. Let me know what you guys have been reading or some recommendations that you might have for me. But this is just some really awesome stuff that I've been catching up with. Don't forget to visit us at thezombiestar.com, and I'll see you guys next time in This Week in Comics.